back in the early days of Property Tribes, November 2009 to be precise, I wrote a post about how important I thought broadband was in terms of ensuring rentability and desirability of a property to tenants. And well, look how far we've come. I'm delighted today to be joined by David from Landlord Broadband, who have joined us as a sponsor. And David, 5 years ago, people were watching their tellies in their rental properties. Of course, now everything's changed.
It has. The entire rental kind of environment has completely changed. Whereas in the past, as you said, majority of tenants will watch BBC One, BBC Two, perhaps satellite. These days, the laptop is the entertainment centre. Yeah. So, for example, a student might be downloading information or work from university and then switch straight over to watching a film on Netflix, and then we'll go straight back to work again. So the entire the entire broadband Wi-Fi environment has completely changed.
Indeed, and that's really why Landlord Broadband was set up, wasn't it? Because it was founded by a landlord who was experiencing unhappy tenants through poor broadband connectivity.
Exactly. And certainly within more complex properties, say whether it be HMOs, student accommodation, where there are multiple users of the signal all on at the same time. That's one of the main reasons why Landlord Broadband was found. The service that the landlord was receiving from the high street really wasn't acceptable, both from a customer service perspective and also from the signal strength as well. So putting a router at the front door and expecting that signal to then be pushed all the way up 4 floors within a property with thick walls and high ceilings, it's a game changer. And also the support as well. And initially, a landlord gets so frustrated by having to call up and be on the phone for half an hour to go through multiple options when wanting to talk to a provider, which is one of the main differences in our service, in that our calls are answered within 10 seconds. And so that customer service approach to Wi-Fi and broadband was one of the main reasons why Landlord Broadband was started.
Indeed. So it takes away a lot of the landlord's stress that the tenant can call your helpline, which is open 24/7, 365. And I think it's really important for landlords to understand that what you offer is a bespoke solution, and you have a guarantee that goes with that. So could you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, we believe our no Wi-Fi dead zone guarantee is unique in the market, and it's so important within multiple occupancy properties. It allows a landlord to showcase that property and to show that property that there are no dead zones, no Wi-Fi dead zones within that property. So every single user within every single unit or room in that property allows the tenant to stream, to download, to game, to work, to constantly use the internet as much as they want, without the kind of fear, really, of the signal being interrupted, buffering, or any problems arising at all. If there are any issues, then they're safe in the knowledge that they can contact our support centre and they can speak to us almost immediately.
I genuinely believe that this is a marketing differentiator for landlords, and you've got a story, actually, haven't you, of a tenant and their behaviour when they first walked into a property. Would you like to share that with us?
Yeah, of course. It's a story which was relayed to me by a landlord, and it was a HMO property, and the tenant walked in, showed an interest in the actual property itself. Even before the tenant looked around the property itself, asked about what's included, looked around every single room, the first thing the tenant did was get their phone out and run a speed test. Now, that tenant knew the difference between the advertised speed into a property and the Wi-Fi speed in that property. He looked at the speed test and said, "I'm sorry, I cannot live here. I work in the media. I've got 5 or 6 devices all on the go at the same time. I'm using Netflix all of the time. I'm Skyping home. I'm uploading. I'm downloading. I've got work to do as well. I'm sorry, I cannot live here because the Wi-Fi speed, it is so low." And he didn't take the room.
David, I genuinely believe that poor broadband signal could actually be causing a landlord unexplained voids. You know, maybe the tenant doesn't communicate to them that there's an issue. Have you got any evidence of that?
Yes, recently we were approached by a landlord who was suffering unexplained void periods in his property. He did not know why. The tenants were not complaining to him. He didn't hear any issues at all. When he contacted the tenants to actually find out why, a majority of the tenants were students and young professionals. The tenants were actually complaining about the strength of the Wi-Fi signal, not to him, but on chat rooms, on social media, because the modern tenants, they will not, or it's more comfortable for them to complain or to communicate on social media rather than to, say, a landlord face to face. A lot of the tenants were complaining about the strength of the signal, saying you cannot get a room here because the signal is not strong enough, it varies far too much. So what we did, we analysed the actual property, we analysed the signal in the area, we looked at floor plans, and we recommended that property will have an installation. So the landlord can then offer a guarantee on that property to show future tenants that within this entire property there are no Wi-Fi dead zones in this entire property. And so far he's been so pleased with the outcome. He's not received any complaints, and he's constantly in communication with his tenants as well. And he's so pleased with the outcome, and he's using this guarantee to actually attract more students, more young professionals, who he knows are heavy users, who he knows will probably have 4 or 5, 6 devices, all on at the same time, probably all streaming at the same time. And so he is so happy now, and that is really one of our main aims at Landlord Broadband. A happy landlord really means a happy tenant. So it's a fantastic outcome.
Absolutely. And that really leads me on nicely to my last question, actually, because I genuinely believe it's a very, very competitive marketplace out there. And when we were discussing which category you guys were going to sponsor, we talked about property yields, because clearly if a landlord has a void, yield's going to be down. So it's actually very appropriate that you're sponsoring the yields category, and that, you know, a really good broadband service for tenants with your no dead zone guarantee, you know, that could increase the landlord's yields over time.
Yes, it could, and it also offers the landlord the opportunity to show future tenants we can guarantee that there will be no dead zones in this property. If there are heavy users within that property, what we do at Landlord Broadband, we remotely balance that signal, so negating the need to send around an engineer. So what we have found from the feedback from our landlords is that a void period can be a lot costlier, can cost the landlord more in reputation and from a financial perspective than the initial installation of the service.
Indeed. Fantastic. So if you have got HMOs, or you're into serviced accommodation, student accommodation, or you have blocks of flats, then this is a service that should definitely be of interest to you. And David, you're going to be on hand to answer any questions that Property Tribes members may have.
I will indeed.
Fantastic.
Yes, you're welcome to contact us, whether it's through through our website, through you guys. Obviously, we've got a fantastic partnership through your forum, which I know is really active. So we'll be quite happy to answer any questions, or even the old-fashioned way, if you want to call us.
Quite. Well, thank you so much, and thank you for your support of Property Tribes as well. And as we like to point out, by supporting the providers of our products and services, you are helping maintain this site as a free-to-use community resource. So if you have any questions for David, or you'd like to get in touch and find out more about his service, and I believe you offer a no-obligation kind of solution, don't you? You can just give them an idea of how you can help.
Absolutely. If you're a landlord and maybe you're having issues with your signal at the moment, you might be receiving complaints from tenants. If you'd like us to have a look at the property, please contact us. What we'll do is to have a look at the address, we'll analyse it for you, and for absolutely free, we'll quite happily offer a no obligation free quote for you.